My name is Ava Calder, and tonight I opened my own front door to the 3 people who once told me I didn't belong in theirs. Seattle air slipped past my shoulders as my mother's perfume arrived. First, then her smile practiced to the point of muscle memory. My father stepped in without waiting to be invited. My sister Tessa lingered on the threshold, eyes combing the hallway like she was appraising inventory she might claim later. Family shares, my mother said, the way some people say grace. I let the door close and crossed the room slowly. On the coffee table waited a clear binder numbers dates, truths arranged like evidence. I placed it under the light. My hands didn't shake. Tessa saw that and still held my gaze. 6 years ago, I'd left Ohio with 1 suitcase and silence for company. Tonight, the silence was theirs. My father coughed. My mother fidgeted with her bracelet. Tessa smirked, mistaking composure for surrender. You built all this, my father said, glancing around. I built a life, I replied. Tessa's smile turned sharp. And because we're family, I interrupted, tapping the binder. We'll use facts. The top page showed forum posts, her tone my work. The timestamps told the story no one wanted to hear. My mother's smile thinned to absence. Sit, I said. We'll do this like adults. No one moved. I opened the binder anyway. The first page sounded like a match catching. I didn't grow up expecting grand things. Our apartment in Dayton was a 2-bedroom above a dentist's office where pipes sighed whenever someone showered. I used to think those sounds meant life moving. Later I learned routines can also trap you. I tried to stay quiet enough to keep peace. Tessa had returned from her failed marriage, dragging a suitcase like she wanted to bruise the floor. My parents didn't know what to say to her, so they said everything to me, soft instructions to take it easy on your sister. One night, I sat at the kitchen table sketching wireframes for an app, simple tools for small service workers to book jobs and take payments. A seed of fairness. Tessa appeared in the doorway, wine in hand. You still doing that little thing, she asked. It's not little, I said. It could help people. She smiled thinly. You always chase projects. Pick something normal. My father dropped his keys, greeted her with warmth he never used on me. My mother touched her shoulder like devotion. I vanished in my own kitchen. Days later, during my coffee shop shift, a friend sent a screenshot from a maker forum. My workflow, same words, same flow, credited to someone else. The caption praised a visionary building tools for independent workers. The name wasn't mine. I stared at the screen while the espresso machine hissed like accusation. That night, I printed the post and slipped it into a clear sleeve. I didn't confront anyone. Not yet. But something had shifted. There are moments when the ground tilts half an inch and no one notices. You do. And you know if you don't brace yourself, someone else will rewrite your truth. I refused to be rewritten. I didn't sleep much after that night. The binder stayed under my pillow like a secret too heavy to hold. I told myself to wait to think. Tessa was always the storm. I was the one mopping after. It broke on a Thursday. I came home from work smelling of coffee and sanitizer. The kitchen lights glared cold. Tessa sat at the table, my parents beside her like bookends. Sit, my mother said. No hello. Tessa shared something my father began, voice rehearsed. My pulse thudded. What did she share? That you're spreading lies about her online, my mother said. Calm, cruel. I reached into my bag, set the binder on the table. I didn't spread anything. This is mine. Tessa leaned back, playing injured. I was trying to help you, but you twist everything. Her voice broke at the perfect place. My father's face hardened at me. You need to stop this, he said. We can't have drama. Drama. In our family, that word always meant blame the bleeding on whoever pointed out the wound. I just want acknowledgement, I said. I want you to respect your sister, he snapped. Respect. Another word stripped of meaning. Tessa sighed. I don't feel safe with her here. Safety, her favorite weapon. My parents exchanged that silent, practiced glance. My mother finally said, It's best if you leave. Give your sister space. They'd already decided. My suitcase waited by the door. I hadn't packed it. I lifted the handle. My father checked his phone. My mother looked away. Tessa's smile hid behind pity. I didn't slam the door. I closed it carefully, because dignity is quieter than rage. And sometimes quiet hurts more. Snow was falling when I reached the sidewalk, flakes drifting under the streetlights like they were afraid to land. The suitcase bumped over ice, my breath sharp in the dark. I wasn't thinking about revenge or success, just where I'd sleep, and how silence follows when you've been told you don't belong. 2 blocks later, I called the only person I could. "Nina," I whispered. "I need a place to stay." She didn't ask questions. "Come over," she said. Her apartment's warmth hit me like rescue. She didn't hug me, just poured tea and listened. I told her enough for her to understand. "You're not staying here forever," she said. "Just until you decide where to go." "And it's not back there." I nodded, still dizzy. I slept on her couch a week. She left quiet encouragements. "Bagels, sticky notes, you deserve oxygen too." I checked job boards' rooms for rent, pretending I was fine. Pride weighs more than luggage. On the 8th night, I called my Uncle Roy. "You don't have to stay there," he said. "Come to Boulder. You can breathe here. But be serious. Discipline keeps us through storms." "I can be serious," I said. "I know." 2 days later, I boarded a bus at dawn. Nina helped me pack, pressed a travel mug into my hands. For the first time since leaving, I didn't feel like a burden, just someone worth showing up for. The bus rolled through melting snow, the city fading behind. I didn't know what waited in Boulder, only that it wouldn't ask me to shrink. Sometimes survival isn't bold, sometimes it's just movement, and that's enough to begin. Boulder didn't greet me with fanfare, just pale sunlight and mountains carved from patience. Roy picked me up in his old truck country radio, low thermos of hot chocolate waiting. He didn't ask questions, just carried my bag, pointed to a note on the counter. "There's food. Sleep first, plans after." Not comfort, plans. It steadied me. I slept 12 hours. When I woke, sunlight warmed the floor, and Roy handed me oatmeal. "You're here now," he said. "We build forward, not back." The first weeks were practical. I took a bakery job night classes, intro to programming accounting software tools. Studied by day, coded by night. Roy read nearby lamplight, wrapping the room in quiet safety. I wasn't chasing dreams yet, just rebuilding a spine. The app idea returned slowly. Watching contractors juggle paper invoices and missed calls, I felt that hum again. It wasn't revenge, it was clarity. The idea hadn't failed me, people had. A professor saw me coding late one night and mentioned Front Range founders. "They won't hand you success," he said, "but maybe perspective." I went. Wore a thrifted blazer. Took the bus, walked into a room buzzing with ambition. When someone asked what I was building, I didn't shrink. "A platform for independent service workers," I said. Scheduling payments, feedback. Low fees, real support. Heads nodded. Questions followed. I belonged. Across the room, a man listened, mid-30s, sharp kind. Derek Shaw. When he approached, he asked only, "How long can you keep building without funding?" I met his gaze, long enough to be dangerous. He smiled, "Then keep going." I walked home with frozen hands and a steady heartbeat. I wasn't healed or whole, but I was moving. And motion is how you build a life, brick by brick, line by line, breath by breath. By the time spring edged green into Boulder, I had something real. Not perfect alive. Lines of code that made sense. I called it Ledgerline, a promise every hour earned, every worker seen. Derek didn't hand over money right away, which I respected. People who invest too fast usually want ownership. Instead, he checked in with challenges disguised as advice-run beta with 100 users. Get 10 paying. Structure, not pressure. 6 months in. I had users in 3 states. Electricians, estheticians, people saying no one ever built software for them. When a payment spike hit, I smiled. Growth rarely shouts. Sometimes it's the quiet click of invoices clearing without chaos. That week, Derek wired $150,000. My hands shook reading the confirmation. I told no one but Roy and Nina. Silence protected momentum. I moved to Seattle with 2 suitcases and a wheezing laptop. No furniture, just a mattress and a folding desk. Morning walks by the water gave ambition air. I hired carefully a laid-off front-end dev coding in cafes, a support lead who'd once run a cleaning business, an accountant who took equity before salary. We worked like softness was a reward, not a starting point. Ledgerline grew. Success shows long after it starts, but once it shows, it changes everything. I was pouring tea at the co-working kitchen when my phone lit up Mom. Twice. No voicemail. Then an email subject line. Proud of you. A screenshot of an article. Congratulations wrapped around a single line. You know in our family we always share blessings. Family, share, old dust on the tongue. Then Dad emailed cold efficient, we'll fly to Seattle. Time to reconnect. No apology, no memory of who left whom. I reread it too many times. Not rage recognition. Entitlement wearing affection's clothes. That night sunset over Elliott Bay, I called Roy. They want to visit, I said. He asked, do you want to face them or move on? I watched fairies glide through gold light. Face them. He exhaled softly, then set the terms. Don't let old ghosts choose the room. I won't, I said. This time, I wasn't the girl whispering ideas in a kitchen that never listened. This time, I owned the walls they'd walk into. They arrived on a gray Saturday that smelled like rain before it fell. I opened the door with practiced calm preparation, not performance. Mom smiled too tightly. Dad entered like a man approaching a negotiation. Tessa followed chin-high gaze appraising someone expecting to be impressed. I didn't offer coffee. Hospitality is a gift, not a reflex. Roy sat quietly in the armchair, solid as a mountain. The guest room door stayed shut. Some boundaries deserved visibility. We gathered in the living room. Mom perched on the couch, smoothing her skirt. Dad hovered, waiting for invitation. Tessa prowled fingers grazing my shelves until she stopped at the photo of my first signed contract. You've done well, she said, praise shaped like a hook. I placed a clear binder on the table. Before we talk forward, I said we address backward. Tessa laughed lightly. We're not here to rehash the past. 6 years isn't ancient when the scar still burns. Mom's voice softened. We've all grown. Forgiveness offered like a debt. I opened the binder screenshots, timestamps, her posts mirroring my words. Quiet theft, my ideas rewritten in her tone. Tessa scoffed. It was brainstorming. It was ownership, I said. Roy leaned forward. This isn't a disagreement. It's a pattern. Dad bristled. We protected both our daughters. You protected silence, I said. The room stilled. I slid out another page, her group chat calling me jealous, unstable. Betrayal in pixels. Mom whispered. This isn't fair. Fair was an option you declined, I said. Tessa's eyes hardened. You're successful now. Why dig this up because truth isn't dirt, and dignity isn't retroactive? Dad stepped forward. We came in good faith. No, I said. You came because you think I owe you. That landed. His jaw tightened. Mom blinked back tears. Tessa tried to speak, but I raised my hand. You don't get to rewrite this. Not my work, not my worth. The binder clicked shut, final as judgment. Roy rose. Time to go. I opened the door. Rain began to fall, gentle cleansing. Family doesn't demand repayment for love, I said. Leave with what you brought. They hesitated, then left. The door closed softly behind them. I leaned my hand on the wood, not from weakness, but release. Quiet isn't surrender, it's breath reclaimed. And I could finally breathe. The house felt still after the door shut, as if the walls were catching their breath. I stood there, hand on the wood heart, settling like dust after something heavy lifted. Roy waited, then placed a hand on my shoulder. You chose yourself, he said. That's the hardest choice most people never make. For years, I thought strength meant enduring. That love required shrinking. But real strength is leaving when someone tries to make you small. The days after were quiet in the best way. I worked, let sunlight spill through the kitchen, felt peace where tension used to live. When Nina called, she only said, I'm proud of you, and something in me healed. A week later, Mom emailed. We hope for healing in time. No apology, just old habits dressed new. I didn't reply. Closure sometimes means leaving doors closed. Elaine wrote too. Relatives were revising their stories, old lies dissolving. I didn't need it, but the truth spreading felt like sunlight on a bruise. One evening I walked to the pier. The bay shimmered, fairies gliding like quiet promises. The cold air stung my cheeks, but it didn't hurt. It reminded me I was alive. I thought of the girl who once left Ohio with a suitcase and a guarded heart. She wasn't broken, just unlearning. And unlearning takes courage. Family isn't blood. It's who hands you a cup, not a condition. Who stays before the shine. Who sees you before the world does. Now when I breathe, the air is mine.